What's up, YouTube? Sammy here, blessed with another day of life, and blessed and fortunate to be making another video this week. And what I'd like to talk about this week is something I've been reading about and studying about in other ways other than reading, and something that my cousin Eddie's been talking to me about, and just things that have been coming to my mind and showing up on YouTube and stuff because I like to watch YouTube. I'm reading a book right now called Thinking Fast and Slow, and that's where I got the definition from, because otherwise I would just call it, I wouldn't have a definition name for it. I would just be calling it by its attributes and what the way, yeah, just I wouldn't be calling it a name. But yeah, it's called priming. And what it is it's an association of a word with an emotion or the opposite effect. And colors do this priming. This is done with anything pretty much, and it could be primed differently. For example, this book that I'm reading talks about how when people read a book or people read some words in a study of words associated with old age, what happened was that they would walk slower to the next test that they were going to take, and the big test was actually that test. It wasn't any association with changing the word style. It was that the test they didn't know what was going on. So when half the people did the test, and they were dealing with words like bald and tired and Florida and words that were associated with old age. Those people tended to walk slower to their next test than the people who did other words. So that was priming. Another example was they did a test where they put flowers in front of a faith box, like a box where people got coffee and tea, and they said this is like a donation box, and then they put suggested prices. And what they found was that whenever they put the flowers in front of the coffee boxes, that people would tip less than when they put like scary eyes that were just looking at them, or just eyes that were looking around the room, like a picture of eyes. And it was interesting because what happened was that the eyes made people feel like they were being watched, so they would start to donate. And this is what the book says about countries that have dictators and autocracies and some weird kind of oppressive governments, tyrannical governments, where you see they have a bunch of pictures in their houses and pictures in their schools and everything of the government. You look in North Korea, in these videos and the depictions that people talk about, they got Kim Jong-un in their houses, they got him in the streets, they got him everywhere. And this makes people think about him and worship him more, and even more fearful of him and less likely to do a revolt against him. And it's interesting. That's what priming does. So it's the way the mind works. They did another test where people would get a pencil and they would put it in between their mouth, which made them smile, and they tended to see things funnier and laugh more when they heard a joke than when they didn't. So what this whole message is about, though, is when we know about priming, and now that we know about it, what kind of steps are we going to take to make deliberate priming in our lives? What kind of association are we going to be putting ourselves in? They say good posture makes you feel more confident. They say that, like, there's an example right here of priming as well, and this is a good example. I like this one out of all of them. I made myself smile and I'm actually feeling better. So that's an example of, okay, I'm having a bad day, but I'm smiling because I have faith that I'm gonna be having a better day when I smile. And it's weird because they say that in studies, this book talks about how when you smile, your day actually starts to get better, and you start to believe that your day's better. So we need to start looking at good things. Wake up and look at positive messages. That'd be a great way to do positive priming. Instead of looking at some social media, let's go outside and look at the sunrise. Let's go outside or let's go and tell somebody, hello, how are you doing today? Be the motivator or the one that incites good behavior from other people. If anything, if you don't know any good tricks to do for positive priming, get a pencil or a pen and put it in your mouth. It'll make you smile, and it's weird, but yeah, you smile, you feel better, and it's crazy because we don't do that. We don't know these techniques, and usually we go by a whole day or a couple of days, and we're like, thinking about solutions. How can I feel better? How can I get in a better state of being? Why am I so depressed? But our surroundings are so dark. They're so full of slowness, or full of things that are actually making us feel worse than better. And what we need to do is we need to surround ourselves with more positive people, put ourselves intentionally in places of where we succeed, work hard, prime yourself into your your psyche, just thinking, like, being ready to get tasks done. Because you're not going to feel fulfilled if you're not working hard and accomplishing things. You're going to feel trashy because you're not accomplishing things. Because as humans, we want to feel that feeling of accomplishment. I can make $1 million right now, and because I didn't work for it, what happens is that I don't feel accomplished, because you just kind of feel guilty because you didn't earn it. And you might say that you feel good and all that, you might be happy, but you just don't feel accomplished because the work you did didn't add up or measure up to it. You just feel like you're not worthy of it. So let's work for our things. Another interesting thing about priming is it talks about the love of money and how America primes people to love money. Now we could see this. They did a study where the background of the computer screen was money, and it was dollar bills floating around the screensaver. And they said that when people were done looking at the screensaver with a bunch of dollar bills floating around, they were more likely to pick up less pencils when they were helping out a colleague, or less likely to help people out. Or just, they did observations of, whenever they did that, they realized that they alienated themselves more from other people, where they stayed doing their assignments longer without asking for help. Because what happens is that you feel a sense of you're chasing something, you want to do better, and it does help positively, but it also makes it so that you don't help other people. It makes you more of a selfish person. And that's the thing. In America, we put money on a pedestal and we make it like that. And what I realized is that America, that's why we have so much more divorce, so much more alienation from people. People aren't as what do you call it, friendly with each other. There's so much polarization. We divide ourselves over political stances. We divide ourselves over all these stances, church affiliations, which is sad, over just ideological stances and all of that. And what we do is we tell people that they're the enemies, and this is because we're pretty money conscious. And I'm not saying this is the only reason, but that's what money consciousness does to you. It makes you feel like your goal is to get to a better goal and achieve something without bringing people along with you. And regardless of if it's money or not, we got to start making people's lives better, helping the poor, reaching people, making other people's lives better, like I said, and just anybody, helping young kids, helping the future generation. We got to find those goals as objectives rather than getting the next paycheck, rather than becoming a millionaire, opening another business and all that. And there's nothing wrong with the other things, but we need to see our objectives as soul fulfilling rather than paycheck fulfilling, rather than making your house bigger while your other person is right there struggling. And there's a good example in the Bible for that. There was a boy who had 1 sheep, but there was a rich man who had 100, but he liked the boy's sheep. At think he killed the boy. I'm not sure, but he took his sheep anyways, and because the kid didn't want to give him his sheep, and it's a real story. We don't think about it, but that's what priming does. Like I said, when people are done with their tests, and this is a study that was done. It isn't by psychologists. They wanted to sit farther from people, and they were less likely to help people pick up their pencils than the people who didn't just look at a screensaver before with money. So money is a harmful thing when you love it too much. And also priming. We gotta prime ourselves with positive things all the time. And when we're feeling negative, look at something beautiful, look at something cool, or just put a pencil in your mouth. Smile, you feel better. And there's some other studies out there. I recommend reading Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a great book. With that being said, God bless, like, and subscribe. Bye.